the one thing that is so important, I think, is to be kind. I always tell my daughter, or rather, I've always told her, and I keep saying that you don't have to like what someone's saying. You don't have to agree with someone. You don't have to see things eye to eye. You don't have to, you don't have to be friends. But one thing you have to be is kind. Kindness literally is one of the most important parts of being a good human, but it's one of the things that we don't exercise as often as we should. You don't have to like someone, you don't have to be friends with them, but offering kindness and respect is one thing that we need desperately in the world right now.
Today on Mural Talk Summer Conversations, I'm honored to be joined by a passionate voice from South Africa, now blooming in Germany. A language teacher by day and a soulful musician by art, she's the founder of Khumo Band, a project born in 2022 and now flourishing with their album release in 2025. Her story is woven in themes of love, loss, evolution, and authenticity. Today, she'll be opening up about what fuels her art and life. Welcome to the show, Khumo. How are you doing?
Hey, thank you. I'm well. I'm very well. I'm enjoying the warm weather.
Yeah,
Yes, this is completely relative to Europe. So we say warm weather here because anything above 15 degrees is warm.
that's true.
And how are you?
Well, I'm doing fine. Thank you so much. Enjoying the slow Saturday. Also, we're recording Saturday right now, and so my day has been very calm. So I'm enjoying, getting some energy back from the week. Basically, so I'm doing fine. Yeah, yeah.
Great.
And I'm so sorry I got you out of bed before 12.
The things we do for love.
This is for love. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. I'm generally up. I'm up around maybe 10-ish or so, but I only get out of bed pretty much after 12, and my family knows that also. So yeah,
Yeah.
but it's good.
It's good. So before we started recording, I asked you if you are ready to play our game of wildcards. It's a
Yes.
game that we play just to get to know you a bit better. So are you ready for the first
I'm
level?
ready.
So I'm shuffling the cards right now, and I'll just pick a card at random, and then I'll just ask you what I pulled out. Ooh, okay. Like I said before we started recording, some questions
Your
are
face.
I'm shocked also by this question because I expect it to be like a confessions question also, but yeah, here it goes.
Okay, let's go.
What is an insecurity of yours? Oh yeah, I was
My
shocked when I see that.
gosh.
I was like, oh no, why?
You're starting off strong. And insecurity, well, there are so many, I think we all have insecurities. But well, when I was younger, I had a huge insecurity with my legs because I'm built like a Southern African woman with a very, very heavy bottom but skinny legs. And growing up, that was like a silly kind of insecurity. But I've gotten over it. I think the older you get, the more you think, hmm. But my insecurity is wondering whether I am a good mother or not. I think with parenting, you only know the results once your children are older. So you're always just holding thumbs and hopefully you're doing a good job. So that I think is my biggest insecurity, whether I'm a good mother or not. Can't believe, oh, geez, we're starting out strong.
We started out very strong. I was actually sweating already for you. I was like, oh my
Yeah,
god.
like, okay, we're starting deep. Yeah,
But,
that
but
is,
that's a wonderful answer. It shows also how passionate about yeah, how you are with your child basically.
yes.
Like you love her so much that you want to be the best mother to her, and
Yeah,
that's yeah,
a good person,
good
so
person.
yeah. Let's
Yeah.
see. I'll see if she's 27 and she's a well-adjusted adult, then yeah.
Are you ready for the next question?
I'm ready for the next question.
So this is actually level 2 confessions, and it says the question is, what have you done that you are proud of?
Wow. What have I done that I'm proud of? Without sounding like this is, they have to do with the album, but the album, having released this album, has been perhaps one of my proudest achievements. I think because it took so much from me, a lot of growth as a person, a lot of awareness as a musician, my truth in writing. I had to, I went really deep and because I wanted it to just be a good thing. So I'm so proud of this album and where I am as a musician, of course, still growing, but where I am and where we are as a band and how much we've grown. So this has been perhaps one of my greatest achievements
Yeah, I
that I
must
get
say,
to
I mean,
share with the world.
yes, yes. I mean, listening to your album too, I could feel the energy, love, passion that was placed into it. And I guess that's why I listened to it more than twice.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, Memories in a Mural is a wonderful album. I encourage everyone out there who has not listened to it yet. Right
Thank
now, you can
you.
just check on Spotify and check it out already. Yeah, but we'll talk more about it in the conversation. I'm looking forward to learning so much from. I have so many questions, so many questions.
Okay.
So that's something to be proud of. Are you ready for
Yes,
the last wildcard
I'm
question?
ready for the last one.
It says, what is a choice you wish you took?
Don't a choice I wish I took. I think I wish I suppose I don't think you have a choice or not. I wish I was wiser 10 years ago, I wish I could have seen the things I've seen now 10 years ago, would have made slightly better choices as a young person. But in saying that, I don't regret my life. I think everything that's happened to me has made me the person I am today. Some things, of course, I wish I wouldn't have gone through, but essentially the kind of person I am right now is of course a product of everything else I've done and the choices I've made before. So I'm still crawling on the right track somehow.
Yeah. I mean, we all have choices to make in life, and we have to choose, from all these choices. And we just pick one and learn from it basically and move on and learn.
100%.
100%. Yeah. And I think one choice you took earlier in 2016, I believe, was, moving from South Africa to Germany. And in Germany, yeah, you're teaching and you're making music
I
and
didn't come for that though. That was the beauty about being a young person is that you take the craziest choices that, with some of the options that you have. And we make decisions perhaps in a whim and because it's just fun or exciting to do so. And it's such a beautiful thing because when we get older, we always kind of err with caution quite a lot in everything. But the biggest decision was perhaps moving from home here and getting married to my husband. We eloped and I decided to completely move my life here. It was a stupid decision,
really.
but it was one of the best decisions I've ever made because I have my little girl and I've established my life here. And so, yeah, it was a stupid decision, but it was a great one. Only because I was young enough to make that decision. If I were older, I would have, my goodness, having checked all the boxes and made sure that everything is aligned. So, yeah.
Well, there's this thing that people say, like, if you had the chance to do it all over again, would you do it the same way or you would do it in a different way? What would you say?
I would do it the same way.
The same way. Awesome. Okay. That makes it truly a very great decision.
Yeah, I would have made the same decision.
Yes. So if you could reflect back on, your moving and changing, your life basically, what would you say was something that stands out to you? Like one major lesson you've learned from leaving South Africa, moving to Germany, unexpected turns that you experienced on the way on your journey so far?
So I moved here, like I said, in a whim and established my life. And then 2 years later, in 2016, or rather 20, when was she born? 2016, rather. At the end of the year, I had my little girl. And then we decided to go back to South Africa. We left Germany in 2018, lived in South Africa for 2 years, came back 2020. The things that I valued the most, I think, in being able to move is how we as humans need to be adaptable. We need to be open to change. We need to constantly be open to ourselves and to changing and into being what the journey allows. And one thing I learned about myself is that I'm very resilient, extremely resilient, and I adapt quite easily according to what the situation requires. So,
Yeah, adapting
yeah,
quite easily to what comes up.
yeah,
Yeah.
these are the things that I've learned in terms of moving is to just be adaptable. You never know how the world is going to change, but allow yourself to be just a student of the world and for the world to just, things to come and to happen in your life as they should, with ease.
Yeah. Wow. That's a life lesson. That's something I'm taking on with me from this conversation. Yeah. So I would like to talk about your album because that's one big thing that's on my mind. Even from connecting with you already, we've spoken on phone a couple of times, I believe, one
Yeah.
or twice. And I mean, from you as a person and listen to your album, I feel like connected to you in a way of, okay, yeah, this person has experienced a lot of things. There's a lot of things I want to learn from her. And there's a lot of things that I could, pick from, her experience and, life journey. So I'd like to talk about memories in a moral. Like, what brought up that title? Like, when you were writing the album, did it just drop into your mind? How did that come up?
So, with the music, the album, it's not an individual project. We are a band, and we bring equal parts of it. Every single thing is a perfection from each individual that we've brought together. So we started writing spontaneously. I mean, when we started the band, we were just jamming together for a while, and we realized, okay, we can do this and it's fun. And then we started writing the music collectively and started creating songs. But it was not, we didn't have a title yet. We actually went back and forth for weeks in our group chat, arguing and chatting about album titles and trying to agree. And that was a feat. Imagine just bringing five minds together that have to create a single thing. So Bernard, or our keyboardist, he came up with the album Mural. And I was like, okay, I like the idea of mural, or we did. And I was like, how about memories in a mural? And so the title itself, or at least the memories part, is just understanding that each song or every part of the music comes from someone's memory, you know? And a mural is essentially a painting that is, that's just there, that is permanent. The memories that we created, or the memories we brought together created this mural that is the album. And that's where the title came from, essentially. And we went with it. Yeah. So it was a collaboration of ideas.
Yeah. And I noticed
Yeah.
I've been pronouncing the name of the title wrongly, but it's awesome. Yeah.
Pardon?
I just noticed that I think I must have been pronouncing the name of the album wrongly. Memories in the Mural.
It is. It's memories in a mural.
Mural. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that's wonderful. Like, bringing different memories together to create
Yeah.
something awesome. Like, if I could fan out a little bit, I mean, I've been listening to it, and if I check my playlist, one of the songs I have like a star is, Burning Circles, for example. Shout to the Void. I was like, oh my god, this feels so relatable. Like, shouting to the void.
I'm glad. I'm glad you can relate to something.
Yeah, and then Eternity also is a very wonderful song. Talk of War is nice, and Another Sorrow is one thing I want to talk to you about right now. Another Sorrow, like part one, and then part two. Part one was not enough, then we had to put a part two out. Um, because part two you had to revisit it again, basically. Can you tell me about that? Like, what brings such? Okay, maybe first of all, was that a part of yours? Was that a memory of yours? The Another Sorrow.
So we had, a little bit of the melody. I think it was myself and our guitarist, Marius, until he was a former keyboardist, actually. So we were trying to write some songs, and we were sitting there, and they had a group. But I couldn't get anything from the music. I was just humming to the song. And then Marius opens a book randomly. I don't even know what book it is. And he's like, how about Another Sorrow? Right? Or at least I heard Another Sorrow, but it was Another's Sorrow. I was like, okay, stop right there. I heard Another Sorrow. And then I started writing the lyrics while we were there. And that's how Another Sorrow came. And I was like, okay, Another Sorrow, meaning not getting into another form of sadness that you've brought upon yourself, essentially. So the song is about learning, pardon me, it's about learning to see every relationship you get into, and even though it always ends badly, even if it's amicable, it brings on, sorrow. And loving anyone brings on a certain level of sorrow. And so it's hoping to say, okay, I hope this time I'm not getting myself into another sorrow. I'm hoping this time it's going to be the big love of my life. So it was like, just taking caution from what the experiences I've had, hoping that this love affair that I have won't bring in another sorrow. And for me, that relationship was essentially starting the band. Another Sorrow was the second song we wrote out. So I was like, oh gosh, I hope that I don't put my heart and soul into this band, these people, this community, and get heartache. And then someone moves, and someone, decides that they're no longer going to be part of the band because life takes them elsewhere. So I was like, I hope this one is for the long haul. And years later, actually, we are still here, and we've done our album, and we still have the same love affair that we have in the band. It's just, yeah. So that's where another sorrow comes from.
That's from, yeah. I mean, I could relate to that because, like, from the lyrics also, talking about, yeah, this new adventure of mine, up it's not to another sorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. I mean, I could relate to that because, for me, I've moved a lot also. I'm from Nigeria. I moved to
Mm.
Germany. I think that's why I felt a bit connected with you. Also, like,
Wow.
and then, within Germany itself, moving cities, changing jobs, for
Mm.
example, and like, I hope this new circle of friends I find or this new job will be the one, or if
Yeah,
and yeah. And then sometimes, from the previous place or the former friends that you had, you detach yourself from them gradually and you feel that sorrow of losing
exactly.
them. Yeah.
Exactly. It's always a piece of yourself that you give away or that you share in every relationship that you put in. And so you hope that the piece that you do share with whoever your circle is will not be, just taken for granted, or it won't just be for nothing.
That's true.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Even sometimes, I mean, when I think about my friends from Nigeria, like my childhood friends from Nigeria, sometimes I just remember some people and I was like, oh, we were good friends back in the days and now we're no longer friends. What happened? You feel that sorrow and you feel
Right?
pain and like,
Yeah. But do you ever find out why relationships or the people that you were once deeply connected with just kind of break away? Do you ever find out in your own life what could have happened?
yeah, I mean, sometimes I reflect on it and I'm like, maybe it's partially my fault. I mean, in terms of, distance, moving to
Yeah,
different
it's
places and then
difficult.
not watering the tree of friendship,
Yeah. Oh my word, that's true.
from my own end, I will take the responsibility for that. I'm not even from the person's end too, but I wouldn't think about that. I'll think of what I am responsible for.
Yeah, you can only answer for yourself. True.
Yeah, like maybe not being intentional about making the phone calls or chatting up the person and letting things just die out when they die out,
But
basically.
life
And
happens, hey? Life happens, and we just sometimes we gradually drift apart because this is going on and that is going on in each individual's lives, and things just kind of just get detached very slowly. It's a sad process, but yeah, it's a process. It's part of life. It does happen, and the things that you can hold on to afterwards, if you can keep going to people or you can keep finding each other, then that's also beautiful. And if not, then you could still you know catch up, whether it's on social media, or because that's how a lot of us have connected, for people we have not been in contact with since primary school. So, always having that, oh, that's great. I see you, I see what you're doing with your life, and just saying, I'm thinking about you at this moment. So it's a
yeah,
good thing. It's not entirely bad.
yeah, it's not entirely bad. Yeah. But sometimes I always think about the what ifs. What if we were still in the same, place? I wonder how our friendship will have blossomed, for example. I wonder what we'll be doing right now. You understand?
Wow, this is such a strange thing, because now that we're talking about it, quite recently, we were very good, or rather, let me start here. We were friends in primary school, like really good friends. And it was a group of us, the five of us. And growing up, of course, you move to different places, but we've tried to maintain some kind of connection. And then some of us came to live abroad. And so just recently, a few months ago, maybe early this year, we decided to reconnect again. And we talk on the phone, we video call each other now quite more often, and we have this group. So this is such an interesting thing that we're talking about now, because this just recently happened in my life, that reconnected once again with my girls. We've known each other for almost 30 years, almost 30 years. So it's quite a while.
Well, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And so when I was preparing for this, I was like thinking, like, as a creative person that you are, these kind of experiences, little things, big things, they must surely influence what you write, what you put down, right? Or how would you say your songs have been formed? What moments form what you write?
What moments? To be honest, most of the moments were in the shower. I'm shy. I'm like, oh, and I would just always have my phone close by, just sing it, and sing a melody or lyrics or anything
Yeah.
into my phone. So that's how like the ideas start. They start from the shower, but the influences come from exactly that, all the experience I've gathered in my life. I think from any creative person, it doesn't just start in a moment. It's just a culmination of years and experiences and memories and sadnesses and sorrows and anguish and pain and deep love, a deep love, even when you have your first boyfriend at 16. There's a group of, or rather, there's a little couple this young. boy and girl. They look 15, 16. I see them almost every single day when I walk home from work or from doing things. I see them and I think, oh my gosh, at 16, that great love. It's such a funny thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, at 16, they've got this great love. So even those loves that you have now, in retrospect, you think, oh, did I even think that that was a thing? But they influence the person you are. They teach you how love can take you from such a high place, because that at 16, it's just everything is fireworks. And so is the heartache that comes almost inevitably from it. So that kind of love, the love I have for family, for friends, for all the relationships I establish, I think all of these things create the songs that I write. I always go deep, and some songs I went really deep, but everything just comes from those experiences. Yeah.
Can I ask you something personal?
Yes.
While preparing for this
We've
conversation,
been personal all along.
oh, okay, something
Carry
more
on.
personal.
Yes.
Yeah, no, we've talked a lot about, laws and, change of situations, basically. When preparing for this conversation, I got to find out that you lost your grandma a while ago, and that also shifted the way you saw life, basically. Also, like, I would like to talk about the transformation that comes with losing someone like that, or losing someone close to you, or losing something precious to you. Like, can you
Mm.
talk to us about that?
I think there's such a huge pain in that sense of loss. Outside of the pain, because it completely tipped, or rather my grandmother's death tipped my life upside down. Everything I thought I knew, everything I thought were the pillars of my life, and this was religion and my spirituality and God. These were the pillars of my life. And when I lost my grandmother, they completely crumbled. But I have to say, it brought on a deeper sense of understanding of life, and hoping to believe that there's no greater good or greater bad. There's always just life as it is. And understanding there's a Sesotho saying, a saying in my language that says, so it means that death is a visitor to every family, to everyone, whether you're rich, you're poor, you're established or not. Death is something that comes and visits us. And so without taking away the hurt and the pain, it's part of life. And to understand that we are all coming and going on this earth as people. It's no insult to one person. It happens, and and also appreciating that my grandmother did live a life. She lived her life, and that was her journey. So, in terms of the spirituality, it taught me that, you know what, spirituality, whatever it is that you make of it, and anything that gives you comfort, could be an aspect of your spirituality. Any sort of hope, any sort of love, any sort of anything can bring that sense of spirituality, anything that fulfills you. So moving away from religion, I learned a deeper sense of love and appreciation for everything and everyone around me, and understanding that life happens to each and every single person.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true. Life happens
huge
to each and
tilt.
every one of us. Yes, yes.
Yeah. And I think mainly, just understanding is because my grandmother was ill for a long time. And while she was ill, you pray hard and going, dear God, heal her, whatever entity you believe in. But at least that for me was God, and the Christian God. And then we got to a point where we were at like a resolve as a family. And I said, dear God, if you're not going to, heal her, then take her while she's still her as a person as we've known her to be. And then that didn't happen. And my grandmother got terminally ill, right up until the end. And I saw that she was just the shell of the person that she used to be. And so I thought to myself, what kind of God would allow something or a person to be dehumanized in that manner? I don't believe that there is an entity, there's no greater good or greater lesson that one would take from such a tragedy. So I thought to myself, okay, then if there is no God, let me seek my spirituality navigate it in my own way in terms of everything else that I've spoken about prior to that. So that's where my huge shift of life and religion and spirituality has come from.
Come from.
Yeah.
I think life brings a lot of lessons to us,
Yeah.
like things for us to learn, and different situations shifts the way that we see things and the way
Mm.
we perceive things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And sometimes it's not a good or a bad thing. It's just a shift, it's just a change. It's another level in life that you kind of get to. So it's not always good or bad. It just is. It's different.
different, yeah.
Uh,
Would you say that that also influences your art, your work also? Like, the experiences that you've had from losing your grandma, for example. Would you say it also reflects in the songs that you put out there too?
that loss, yes. Like I said, any big loss that has been such a, especially because a deep sense of loss comes from a deep sense of love. So I think every single loss and every single love has created the words I write. And going back, it's just the words that I do write in the music. They come from a group of extremely talented musicians that are able to convey an emotion with their instruments and bringing them together in such a beautiful, crazy harmony that we are in a band, because we all come from very different trainings in terms of our musicality. And me being the untrained one, I just hold on to a mic and put to pen to paper. So all of those things influence the music, and they are able to convey such emotion in the way that they play, and that influences the way that I sing and the way that I create the music as well.
Yeah. I was asking that because I've not done this in a long while, but I enjoy writing short stories.
Mm.
What when I used to write these short stories, these non-fiction stories, oh, is it fiction stories? I'm messing my English up right now. Yeah, these fictional stories, basically. I always notice
It
that,
happens to all of us.
yeah, I mean, it's fiction. When I'm
Mm.
writing this
Your
fictional
fiction
story,
stories, yes.
yes. So when I put them down on paper and I read them to myself, I'm like, yes, it sounds so nice. It's not my story at the moment, but I always see maybe a trace of it is something that I've hidden
Absolutely.
or buried or something. I don't understand.
Absolutely. I think it comes from somewhere. You cannot conjure up anything. If you don't know anything, there's nothing, you don't know what the idea is. So it absolutely comes from somewhere. It doesn't come from thin air. Whether it's things that you've just glimpsed, walking along the street, whether it's a thought that came to you in such a very short moment, in whatever experience it was, whether it was looking at someone you saw who made an impression, walking from the bus stop, anything. These are things that we create from. We create from laughing at hysterically at certain situations that happen to other people, or things that happen to ourselves, or, someone telling you a story, and it just, all of creativity comes from ourselves. It comes from within us. It's not things that we just create from nowhere. They come from whatever idea or experience or, thing that comes from you. So it does come from you.
That's come from me. Yeah, that's true. Something I would love to learn from you at this moment. You've experienced a lot in life already, and you're a parent also. You're a friend to people out there. You're a wife to someone. You're an artist also, and more. And I would just like to know from all of these identities, which one of them feels most grounding to you right now, and which one of them is most challenging to you right now?
Wow, you ask questions.
I just want to know out of curiosity.
Wow, what a great question. Yeah, what a great question. Lovely. The one, I've got an identical twin sister, right? Yes. And I- I've been taught to love from the get-go by her. We've always been very close. Even now that we live so far apart, we are extremely close. We talk to each other at least twice a day. That has always been the relationship that has never ever changed in any form or shape in my entire life. It is, like I said, we've always had a very intimate relationship, my twin sister and I. And funny thing is that every time we've gotten into serious relationships, in the past, even, we've always wanted to, or at least we've established our relationship that we're like, okay, this is how an intimate relationship is supposed to look like in terms of outside of anything sexual or physical, of course. But intimacy is from a place that where we talk nonstop about anything and everything from dusk till dawn, and dawn till dusk. We would talk all the time, and we always had something to share, even if we were in the same space for weeks and weeks on end. And so going into our romantic relationships, we thought that, oh, okay, companionship is supposed to look like this. An intimate relationship is supposed to look like this, where you just talk and talk and talk. And now, having grown up and now being married and both finding partners, our partners had to kind of go, but I'm not your twin. I can't fulfill that crazy idea of companionship that you
Mhm.
have.
Yeah.
it's us also learning to go, okay, this is not maungo. I'm not gonna call them every 2 seconds and go, oh my God, this happened. By the way, I think I need new glasses and dishes. Your partner is not going to fulfill that part of the companionship. This is what a special connection that you have that no one else on earth will be able to share with you, that you cannot replicate. So she's always been the one established relationship in my entire life that has never moved, or it's never moved. It was constantly there. It's never changed. It's always been that companionship that we've had as we've grown, because we've grown at the same time, at the same place, exactly the same way. So that has always been a very weird, constant relationship. And so, but that's a very special kind of connection. So that has been the relationship. And then the most challenging, I think, is being a parent. Being a parent is perhaps the most challenging relationship one might have with someone else, because you are trying to raise a person, and this person is an individual. Even though you think you teach them everything they should know, they have their own minds, and you have to respect that. They have their own thinking. You have to respect that. And a lot of the time, it's not necessarily what you would choose for them, and but allowing that growth and allowing that yourself, as well as to be a person, even as a parent, for your child to see you as a person and not just as a lord who is so perfect. So it's such a challenging relationship, because you're supposed to be good at it, but you don't even know what you're doing. You don't
Yeah.
know what you're doing. You're just winging it. And thinking about it, I was thinking this morning, tomorrow is Mother's Day. I'm like, I'm a mother. I'm responsible for a whole person. And it's an interesting and a very challenging relationship that one has to also grow as they raise a person who is also growing. You have to kind of grow and change and learn new things and be taught by your child as well. So that's a challenging relationship.
That's challenging. But what do you do when you make mistakes as a parent? What do you do?
Firstly, you apologize, which is something
Okay.
our parents never did.
That's not African. No, no.
No, absolutely not. They'd rather ask if you're hungry. That's their, that's their apology.
Yeah.
Firstly, you apologize and you hope that your mistake is not life altering. And you explain to your child that, you know what, we're in this together. I don't know how to be a mom to you. I'm learning as you are learning to be a child. Rather, you're learning to be a person. I'm learning as well how to be a parent to you. Even if you have more children, I think it's because every child is different. You have a different relationship with them because of their characters, not because you love one more than the other. So it's a constant learning. It's constantly saying, you know what, I'm sorry, I'm trying my best. And also go, what do you think? What is your idea of whatever situation within reason that you can share with your child? And hearing them out is one of those. So you go, okay, what can we do differently? I'm sorry I made a mistake. What can we do differently? Let's learn together, and to just kind of grow and to cry about it. And then you just wipe yourself off and go, okay, let me try to do better next time.
Yeah, I love that so much. Yes, it's something that you mentioned that I've been learning also in the past years, and that is not every child has the same template. I mean, I can't be a parent today and say I have this template of raising a child, and that's how I'll apply to all my children. It's not
Yeah.
possible. It's not work.
Oh, I've seen that. I mean, I see that with my friends who have more children than I do. I understand that from my mother raising us as individuals, because she had to parent each child differently, because we all have very different temperaments. So every single child is different. You are learning different parts of parenting with each child. One child is not going to be the same as the other one. So you cannot relate per se to them exactly the same way, because one will not understand. You always have to keep adjusting. And even in the adjusting of each temperament, you also have to adjust to the ages that they're going through. And my little girl is extremely vocal, and she chooses her own things, and she wants to do things her way. Sometimes I disagree with it a lot of the times, but I allow her to also gain her own experience, as long as it's not going to put her in danger or permanent danger. I just kind of go, okay, make your mistake. One time or rather, we'd been arguing. Wear a jersey, us black parents, African parents from Africa. But Jesse, it's cold. And the German child is like, no, I'm not cold. I'm fine. I'm like, are you? And so one time I said, okay, fine. Don't take a jersey. you're going to leave without it. And we left and she got cold. She started freezing. I was like, you decided you were going to take a jersey. Luckily, we were not going far away. So she was warm enough. She wasn't freezing. She didn't freeze to death. But she learned next time to go, you know what? Let me listen to this lady's advice. And if I'm not going to wear the jersey, let me take it and hang it around my waist. I might need it. So, so that is making her, letting her make her own mistakes and learning from that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm going to apply that also to myself. Yeah.
Yeah. If it won't hurt them, let them make the mistake, and the lesson will be taught. You don't have to hammer it into them. Let them get cold. And go out and get cold because they don't want to wear a jersey. And then next time they come back, you go, okay, take a jersey, and they'll understand to do it.
Yes. Sometimes I think kids learn more from making a mistake as long as it's not something deadly. I mean, yeah, something awful.
There's more that they learn in making their own mistakes than what you think you can teach. Once they've got the scar, they'll know not to, they'll know not to get into that situation. As long as it doesn't put them in permanent danger, I think it's so important to allow children to kind of learn and also to trust in their own decision making as well, because they'll know that, okay, I made a bad decision once and then I'm going to make a good decision and keep making good decisions. So I think it teaches them as well, just life lessons.
Sense, yes.
Yeah.
Wow. I would like to ask you one more question to your in regards to your creative process also and your song, because your album is still singing in my head right now.
I hope
And that
so.
is,
I hope you're sharing it with other people.
yes. I mean, one thing that stood out to me was basically emotional truth that comes from listening to the album. Like, you could feel the soul in the music, basically. You could feel it.
Yeah.
And one thing that was coming up to me, or a question I was asking myself was basically vulnerability. All of you, like you said earlier, everyone in the band was sharing their memories, and that comes with vulnerability also. How do you balance, vulnerability, privacy, since you don't want to share with, sharing your stories through songs?
When I started writing, one thing I promised myself is that I would write music with integrity. I would write from a place of truth. I would write something that means something to me. I'm not going to sing a song that I'm not feeling, that doesn't make any sense to me, that I've never felt. As you're in the creative process, you keep writing and writing and then go, okay, this is a light kind of vulnerability that is just standard. Let me share that. And I remember writing Shout to the Void. Oh my word. I wrote it and I essentially wrote the entire song. Then I stood with it for a while. I was like, this is not going to go into the song. And then I wrote another version of the song that could be, easy going, slightly less deep, but it just did not make sense. It didn't speak to me. And I thought, this is a lie. I'm not going to share this as well. But that came from such a deep place. I think from a place of, in any kind of relationship, there are times where you go through a lot of friction, and not because you don't love each other, not because you don't care for each other. You just want the other person to understand your perspective and they want you to understand their perspective. And essentially you're shouting into a whole lot of nothing. You're screaming at each other. No one's hearing anything. Even when you are saying these things and you are talking at each other and you're getting angry and you are angry, what you want the most is for that person to hold you in their arms and vice versa. So you can just say, listen, at the end of the day, I love you. I don't care what we're shouting for. I don't care what we're fighting for. I don't care what we're arguing about. Just hold me. I want to be here. I want to be with you. And just, so that's where that song comes from. And I know that everyone has experienced that. It's just that is perhaps one of the toughest experiences or senses of feeling helpless, because when you grieve a dead relationship or a gone relationship, it's a line that you go, okay, but it's very hard to feel like you're grieving a relationship that you're still working on. And that is such a difficult emotion to grapple with. It's such a difficult time in any relationship to be able to navigate, is where you're still fighting, you still want to be together, but you're just not hearing each other. And so that's where the song came from. And I think it's such a deep emotional part of ourselves that it's very hard to go there, and especially to share it with the world, to go, I too have been there, or I felt that as well, or I too feel that. So that's why it was such a very, very deep song to write, a very difficult one to write.
Right. Also, yeah.
Easy and difficult.
Yes. I mean, honestly, when I edit, that was the second track I was listening to this morning, before this conversation. And I was not with my phone. I was just playing it on speakers. And then I had to run to my phone to check the title again. What's the title of this song? Because I was listening to the lyrics basically from afar. I was like, the thought that was coming to my head at that moment was like, I was seeing reflections of myself speaking, to people, like having conversation with people, but not feeling heard. I was speaking, having conversations, but I was not coming through. I was not passing my message across. I'm like, oh my God. Listen to the song was bringing those feelings back to me. I've had so many conversations in the past, and I felt like the person was not just listening to me. I was
Yeah,
not listening
yeah,
to,
yeah.
yeah.
It's like just hear me, and the other person's going, but hear me too. And
Yeah. That constant combat of fighting for the attention and listening to me, please listen to me first, listen to me
exactly,
first.
exactly. You know what? I think with the most significant moment when I felt like, okay, this is such a true song is, I mean, we've been writing the song together as the band, and bringing the song together as a band, and they heard me sing it hundreds of times. When we went into studio and we were recording the song, so everyone is in the booth, or rather, I'm in the booth doing the vocal track, and everyone is just sitting outside. So I can see them, or rather, I can see them, they can see me, but I can't hear them. So I do the song, I sing the song, and I'm like, was that a good one? So I did the entire song, and they're like, okay, yes, that's fine. But no one is responding. But because we've always been giving each other feedback to the song to go, okay, do it like this, try this, and or that is good, let's do it again. But this time, no one said anything. I think, okay, is everything okay? And I ask, through the headphones and the mic, I say to our engineer, I said, Patrick, is everything okay? No one is responding. I'm like, Marius, Anad, no one's responding. Eventually, Patrick says, I mean, you can come out. So I'm going out. I'm wondering what's going on. As I walk in the booth, everyone is crying. I think, was it that bad? That essentially, what that meant was the song has done, or rather the emotion has been conveyed in the song where people get it and it's touching people that have heard it so many times and they get that visceral reaction, and was such a beautiful moment where it felt validating to do something like this, to do something that is true, to do something that can actually touch people's hearts, and I'm hoping that in every song anyone can find an experience or just something to love about the songs, whether especially lyrically. So you can find yourself in every song, whether it's a fun one, upbeat, whether it's a sorrowful song, whether it's a very love-filled love song. If people can find themselves, that for me is just, yeah, it's an important part of the creative. It's the most important part of the creative process.
Yes, I believe there's a song for everyone on this album. Like you said already, if it's just about, being upbeat and, feeling lively, there's a song for you or more songs for you on the album. Or if you want to really connect to that trauma that you're healing from at the moment, and you want to really work it out and maybe cry a little bit and maybe, process it a bit more. There are songs for you on that
I
album.
hope so. I mean, when we were growing up, rather, these were some of the things that I've always been intrigued by in terms of music. There are songs that you listen to. I mean, I grew up on 80s, 90s R&B and soul and funk and, classical rock and things like that. And especially listening to R&B songs, the old school songs that make you feel like you've just had a heartbreak when there was no heartbreak because the songs were so cheap,
Yeah.
transform you to a non-existent heartbreak. And for me, it was always so fascinating how a song can do that. How screaming my lungs out to Celine Dion.
Mm.
I'm thinking, what series? I don't even know. I don't even know what she's talking about. But that emotion and that truth to what she's giving out is what should touch people. And for me, that's really such a one thing that's a push factor in writing true songs,
Yeah.
at least
I
deep
mean,
love songs.
exactly. And they're so powerful. They transform your life, basically help
Yeah,
you to
because
learn
love has
things.
touched us all. Love has touched us all.
Yes. Well, for me, first time I listened to the song, like for example, first time I listened to Screaming to the Void. No, I'm not getting the title right.
Shout to the void.
Shout to the Void. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's to me it's more like Screaming to the Void.
I
Shout to the
hope
Void.
I'm not screaming too much in the
No, 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 you are not. No, you are not. Well, I mean, in my head, I was screaming basically, so that's why it's. So first time I heard Shout to the Void, for me, I thought to myself that okay, how should I change the way I speak to people that I could feel heard and communicate myself better? And that for me started a journey of, changing the way I speak, asking follow-up questions, trying to be
Yeah.
much more patient. So it's like me basically changing the version of myself of in
Wow.
terms of how I speak. Okay, you want to speak first? Okay, speak. I'm listening. I do active listening also, being intentional about communication
Mm.
also. Yeah. So for you, I would like to know, like, what version of you are you entering into right now after putting this album out? Like, are there some things that have shifted for you? Are there something that are changing for you after you've, put this out already to the world?
After putting this out, it's made me, of course, want to continue to be a better musician, a better person in every aspect of my life, to grow, to constantly be growing, to constantly be getting better at whatever it is that I'm doing, or and getting better is not necessarily wanting to be the best at it, but just being better than you were yesterday. And this season for me is, the older you get, the more you get into a season of learning to love yourself more and learning to accept yourself more and learning to accept your mistakes as well, and things that you are not you used to worry about more, that getting into a space where you're like, okay, it's going to happen, I can do my best to influence the change, but ultimately everything has to come together for something to happen. So giving myself grace and growing is the era I'm going into. At least my life is turning to. It's an era of grace and of love and of growth.
Yeah, I love that of grace, love, and growth.
Yeah.
I'm going to copy that from you and paste it for myself also. Copy paste. Era of love, grace, and growth.
Yeah,
Yes. Right now, just thinking I should have. I mean, Bernard gave me a hard copy of the album, but I don't
I'm
have it
so
right now beside me.
glad.
I'm like, I wish I could just show everyone out there how it looks like. But I'm going to place the link to your album in the show notes of this episode for everyone out there who wants to listen. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Music. I listen to it a lot more on Apple Music, but I got
Okay.
the hard copy also. You could get the CD also, the
Yes.
physical version if you listen to that. A lot of people listen to CDs also still in their cars and
Really?
whatnot.
Actually, it
Yeah,
was such a very funny thing having, printing the CDs. I'm like, okay, who still has a CD player? Because it seems like everything is digital. Everything. I
yeah.
mean, I don't even have a CD player. I was like, oh, where do I even play the CD? Because I don't have a CD player. Everything has gone digital. But we do have CDs, and if you have a CD or you just want to keep it as your own collection, we do have a few copies.
And you have a wonderful cover art for it, so it's like something you could place somewhere nice for people to see.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's a beautiful one. So, I mean, I would just like to ask a question for listeners out there. So we have people out there who are feeling unseen or feel stuck. Like, what song from your album would you recommend to them right now?
Song from the album. I
For
think
someone feeling
Another Sorrow,
unseen.
Another Sorrow is just such a hopeful song. Every song is like your baby, so you can't go, this is my favorite one. You can't choose a specific one. But Another Sorrow is just such a beautiful song, a song of hope and going, okay, maybe this is the one, and keep going. If you've lost something, if you feel stuck, to just keep going. So Another Sorrow would be a great song for the album, from the album. But just generally, everything in life has become so, rather, everything has become so difficult, and everyone is going through a bad time, to, of course, different degrees. And so the one thing that is so important, I think, is to be kind. I always tell my daughter, or rather, I've always told her, and I keep saying that you don't have to like what someone's saying. You don't have to agree with someone. You don't have to see things eye to eye. You don't have to, you don't have to be friends. But one thing you have to be is kind. Kindness literally is one of the most important parts of being a good human, but it's one of the things that we don't exercise as often as we should. You don't have to like someone, you don't have to be friends with them, but offering kindness and respect is one thing that we need desperately in the world right now. We're so divided, and it's okay not to think in the same fashion as someone else, but we should always be respectful and kind and hopeful that it will get better. Or if it doesn't get better, we'll get better. We'll be fine. We'll survive. Humanity will survive. Well, yeah. hopefully for as long as we can, but time will keep going and things will happen as they should. We don't have a lot of control over these things. We could just hope and say, for as long as I'm here, I hope things will be okay. And leave it in a good space for others that follow, because we don't know how long this is going to go.
That's true. I love that so much. We can only take control of the things that are within our control, and that's being kind.
100%, exactly. Whatever we have control over, we can control, and what we don't have control over, we can just, especially another person who we should not have control over, just be respectful, just be kind. That's it.
That's it. Wow. Thank you so much, Kuma. I really appreciate this wonderful conversation with you. I've learned so much more about you, and
Thank you so much for having
I
me.
hope everyone will listen to the album, pick it up, download it on Apple Music, Spotify, listen to it over and over. And maybe you could also share your favorite music. I've not been able to choose a favorite one up to now. I have two, three, or four in my head at the moment. Yeah. But I hope everyone out there could, find a favorite song from the album and listen to it and hope it to change their life. Also, like shout to the void, change my life, for example. And that sort of gives me
Wow,
all
that
hope.
is such a kind thing to say. Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot. It's such a kind thing to say.
So if there's someone out there who still wants to maybe reach out to you personally, contact you, work with you, what's the best way to do this?
On Instagram, it's Khumo Band, one word on Instagram, and on Facebook as well. And on our website, it's khumoband.com. And yes, they can get in touch with us from all our platforms.
Awesome. I'm going to place a link to your website in the show notes of this episode. The link to your Instagram also will be there in the show notes of this episode. So I encourage everyone out there to visit the website, follow you on Instagram also, and
Thank you.
stay in touch with you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this.
Thank you very much.